mission, should you choose to accept it, or should you choose to listen to our review, like you're doing here. Hey everybody, welcome. This is Ian here, along with Isaac.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey people, thank you for tuning in. And we are hot off the track of Mission Impossible 6 Fallout. Now, I went and had a chance to check this out early this morning. I think Isaac caught it last night. Was that right?
Yes.
Okay, right. You got a little busy. We were gonna actually talk about this a little earlier, and heck, I intended to catch it last night myself, but circumstances and stuff. But hey, this is an action movie we've been talking about all year. Was it worth the wait? I will get that out of the way and say yes. There's a lot to say about this one.
100%.
This is definitely a time where we've had a couple of standalones this year. When I think of this movie, I automatically kind of put it on the category of Death Wish, Equalizer 2. But this is one of the long-running guns that we get a chance to see where it's at in this newest iteration. Does it burn itself out? Does it go through the paces? We're going to cover that here. So as just a short forward, we will not be diving very far into the waters of spoiler territory at all here. But in the event we start to teeter on that, or if we're close, we're going to give you a heads up. So just know that coming into this. Coming out of MI5. Now, I know one thing 5 got panned for a little bit was how close it was to the latest James Bond movie with Daniel Craig.
Yes.
They both followed this theme of a syndicate of a sort of shadow power, and really, if you saw the interplay of how both these movies played out, they even kind of ended.
It was basically you watched the same movie the same summer.
Yeah, it was. But we've been seeing on the advertisement for this for MI6 that this was something fresh we were looking at. You have an all-star cast ranging from Tom Cruise to Angela Bassett to Henry Cavill. And hey, let's not skimp here. Henry Cavill and the mustache
Oh my gosh,
that causes Hollywood disasters.
Do you want to? Can we just talk about that for a
yeah? I
second?
want to zoom in on that. I sure do.
So they were talking. So they actually had a halt because in August 2017, Tom he injured his right leg.
Right.
So between that and the mustache, they ended up costing the studio about $80 million because they had to pay the cast and the crew for an 8-week hiatus so they wouldn't take other jobs while they were waiting for Cruise's leg to heal and to digitally remove that mustache because they had I mean, obviously they're making it all back, so it must.
Oh yeah.
And this made more money on the opening night than the last one, which a lot of people were not expecting, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I was looking over time just where the MI movies have landed. This is a series that seems to have just progressively gotten better reviews. MI 1 and 2 and 3 and the others. Some of those set around 60% ish or lower. Or 5. 6 out of 10 maybe. But I think what we're seeing here is a film that's comfortable in its own skin. It's really gotten to the point where it's free to explore its own elements that it's placed out there in a really cool way.
And I think one great advantage of these films, and I think they did themselves a huge favor, was the first 3 to 4 films. They weren't, while they were a bit over the top, they weren't so insanely over the top that they felt the need to go way more over the top in the next one. So they really set a great base. So
Right.
you can make another 3 films without going insane, unlike Fast and Furious. I hate to compare the franchises, but
Right.
kind of the same thing with the testosterone and
Yeah.
but I feel like Fast and Furious right out of the get-go, the second, third, and the third one, they went super hardcore with their stunts and the story and everything that was going on.
Right.
So now we're at number 9. They almost have to go to the moon in order to do something we haven't seen. Whereas this one, they set their. I mean, I think the first 2 movies took place. Well, I know the first one took place on a train.
Right.
They were just fighting inside this train, and now they can. It wasn't until the last one I think we finally saw our first plane fight.
Right. So I mean, it's a funny point you raised about Fast and Furious. I mean, there's you can only drive so fast and so furiously for so long. I mean, I don't. There aren't too many more directions to go, and the other trouble it's encountering is that a lot of its main characters are toasted.
They are.
By this point. You're really down to just a handful. So That's a struggle to keep a franchise like that going, and especially in Fast and Furious, where you're so drawn around a tight group of characters. I think part of the freedom of Mission Impossible is when you're looking at the spy world or the CIA and shadow governments and hidden organizations. Is there's countless plots you can weave within that.
Oh yeah, and like one great thing about Mission Impossible is that they haven't been afraid to kill people
No,
and just get them off. You know, I mean, it's very much focused about Tom Cruise, and everyone else is kind of a secondary character,
of course,
and that's why you've kind of seen this revolving door of who his team is. I think besides the one guy he's always had since day one,
right.
but other than that, it's been them two, and I think that's given them more freedom and why they're a 22-year long franchise, which I did not realize how long
That's intense. That's
they've been
intense.
going. But
That's intense. Man.
I don't see them stopping, so
No,
why would
it
you?
it doesn't look like it. I mean, especially from the momentum that we have here. So, hey, just looking at that, as far as what we do have here, what's on the board and what are the stakes? This really feels not just spiritually but canonically right, following in line with Mission Impossible. And hey, Fallout is the right name for this.
Mhm.
All of Ethan's good intentions, everything he's tried to do to keep the world safe, and the few that he considers very close to him safe is all under jeopardy at this point. You realize that his decisions and sometimes putting the team ahead of a important world issue could cause some problems, be a detriment.
Yes.
And when we get that right off the bat, and this turns into a pretty much almost a global or at least European plutonium chase to
Yeah.
prevent a nuclear disaster, and then we're thrown into Henry Cavill pretty quick. I was wondering exactly how he was going to be based in all this, and I had fun. I didn't think he'd be working so closely with Ethan off the bat.
Yes. Definitely
know.
from the trailer, it looked like I don't know, from my perspective, it was just like, Tom Cruise is running away, or Ethan, excuse me, Ethan's
Yeah.
running away from Henry like the whole film. But
Right.
throughout most of it, they're actually working like super tight, which I thought was super cool to really use Henry Cavill's acting ability in a huge way. Because I don't know, from my point
Yeah.
of view from the trailer, it just kind of seemed like he was going to be like this side character, but he ends
Yeah.
up being a very huge part of it.
Oh, same. When you think Henry Cavill, of course, Superman, first thing you're thinking. But I think the way they've been able to leverage his energy and his character as an actor here is great. One thing about Cavill is he has a large presence
Yes.
on screen. He has a certain a boldness to him that can really come off as like really magnanimous. So you can see that as like something for Superman, or you can see it as something sinister. And I think he's able to switch gears just fine. And he does it well here. And part of how he keeps that going is the fact that he's an agent, but you're left questioning a lot of the time. Well, what's really happening? Is he really working for who I think he's working for? Is what's going on really what I think's happening?
And that's been the story of this franchise, basically.
Yes.
Like, anybody can be anything.
It has, and that I know that sounds like a kind of hackneyed or kind of tried line, but this is done not just well in this film, but it's been done well across the rest of the MI films as well. They've always had a way of sort of unpacking. Whenever you think, as soon as you think you're fully in the zone and you see everything, all the walls fall apart.
Oh yeah, like I think the
yeah.
last one where like everyone starts taking off their mask and it's just like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, everyone I thought who I thought was they're not. Like,
Yeah. And I think even the stuff you can kind of predict a little bit ahead of time and see ends up getting caught in a fourth layer, in the fifth layer.
It's
You might have
watching
not
Inception, but with
Yeah.
spies. It's probably the
Pretty
best way to
much.
describe this franchise.
Pretty much. I know I felt that way. I was glad to see when I sort of felt that we hit, especially late film, we hit the kind of third layer, and then when they added like a fourth and a fifth to really make you look at deceiving who and who's really working, or is there another side we're not looking at here? Good stuff. Good
Yes.
stuff.
If we can just go on to like two things I thought were awesome
Yeah.
about this film. First off, the humor that it poked at itself was phenomenal. I think there's one line that Henry Cavill's character ends up saying. He's like, why won't you just die,
Yeah.
Ethan? And I was like, this is the question that everyone's asked since the first film, and I loved that line. Like, it was super intense. That's gonna be a new iconic line, I hope.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Like I hope it becomes like that. Like that was amazing. And then I think in one of the scenes where the guy's like, hey, "Do you ever like not accept a mission, Ethan?" I'm like, "Oh, shouldn't we've all asked?"
Dude, definitely. It's enough of the old flavor of the old Mission Impossible. I think mixed with sort of like the high octane of the new. And this goes to what we were saying at the very start. You know, this is a franchise that's become very comfortable with itself, and
Yeah.
and you know it is when it can really poke at itself that way. That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
And one thing I do love about this franchise, it's not afraid to keep pushing boundaries and each film being its own thing,
Right.
but it's kept to its roots and it's always nods to it. So like with this one of the characters actually you end up finding out is the daughter of someone from the first film,
Right.
which I thought was super cool. And then you see a new layer of Ethan's personal life,
Yep.
as they bring back Julia,
Right.
or I guess it's like well, I won't spoil it. You have to find out. Caught myself. But I thought and it's just super cool how it always brings it back to its roots.
No, that's fair enough. One thing that's difficult to do with these kind of movies, at the expense of looking overladen, is to give more of a background on a main character than what we've already had. You know, these types of movies kind of get in a habit of sort of introducing said character, maybe giving a couple of slices and then leaving it. You know, I look at Daniel Craig's James Bond. It's a good example of this. You know, when we go mission to mission, we get more filled in on his motivations, mission to mission, but like his, as far as his past and all that, we're really told enough off of the first few movies, and we're just on a straightforward trajectory here. So it was a nice surprise this late in the game to have, I think, that much more added to his character. And the cool part is we are told that as an audience right as this movie starts. Like from the very start, you're wondering, wait, am I actually seeing this in real time? What am I actually looking at in this scene? But there is a very, very clear trajectory that you will know by the time this film is done, you're going to know more about Ethan Hunt. So,
which is always cool when you can just add a new layer.
No, it is
to a character. Which
breaking down a few other elements directly here, I want to look at the most obvious one here, the action sequences.
Oh man,
is as far as just intensity of those, these are sticking with me more than I think any of the other Mission Impossible films have so far.
And it's honestly, it's not even right from the get-go either.
Right.
Because they kind of take a little time to build up to it, but once you get into them, oh boy,
yeah.
you're in them. Should we talk about the bathroom scene?
Yes, I was just about to go there because this is, if you've been watching trailers for this, if you've seen ads for this, the bathroom scene and breaking pillars and sinks getting ruined is something you've been seeing all over the place, and it delivers.
It lives up to the hype for sure.
Oh yeah. We're pulled into the scene. It's done in a way that I didn't necessarily see coming either. Like you said, this is more of a scene I kind of crafted in my mind as more of a Cavill chasing Ethan, or him dealing with him. But it's them kind of forging this kind of tenuous relationship, trying to work together to take down an informant that they're both after, and they run into some pretty heavy problems with that. But it's hilarious trying to balance what they're trying to do with their work with just random drunken crowds that end up stumbling into the bathroom, trying somehow to make what they're doing look normal or give some kind of semblance of, no, we're all fine. Here's this one point where they, three of them all cram into one stall, and then everybody assumes there's like some like gay party going on or something, and it really isn't. And then the fight picks back up again. Really cool pacing, cool momentum.
That was, oh man, my favorite part was Henry Cavill though. Was like I went in again, like I have this mental image of him as Superman, and I'm expecting him just to beat the crap out of this guy, and he ends up getting knocked down multiple times.
Yeah.
And then it's Ethan Hunt, the one that like Superman style dives and like grabs the dude and like they go through a pillar like Superman style. And I don't know if it was on purpose, but it was one of the best parts of the film.
Yeah. Oh man. When Cavill, aka Agent Walker, when he loads up, like I was like, all right, he's either closing this out now or this guy's like getting out of Dodge. I'm like, holy crap! Not even.
He got like 3 hits in and then it was over.
Yeah,
So back to Ethan, which I think that was super cool because I mean Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise are both phenomenal action movie stars
they
and
are.
are stars by their own right. But I think you really saw a great film of two actors working together, not just their. I didn't feel like either one was trying to be selfish and steal screen time from the other.
Definitely.
If that makes sense. Where unlike certain franchises like Fast and Furious, there's other stars that they're definitely trying to be the star of the film, and these guys just worked really great together. And I thought that was super awesome to see.
No, they did. They did for sure. I know. In fact, seeing their interplay was really funny because, if anything, Cavill constantly sort of gets rattled. Everything that he sets up with doesn't quite go how he wants, doesn't quite go according to plan, and in the same hand, Ethan doesn't think a whole lot of him. I laughed at how he calls him a prick. Near the end, he just pretty much, they've sort of had it with each other. Near the end of this, and it was just funny to see the whole interplay between them. So,
definitely one of those fun relationships, maybe even of the franchise.
Arguably. Definitely. And I want to zoom in on this as we're talking, about the action. I always look at the score a little bit. I was actually pretty impressed this time. This is one of the first times I've been able to really clearly hear the music score's interjection with what's happened on scene. I think the moment that really hits me is when Ethan. When Ethan's on the run, and he ends up stumbling into that funeral in that massive cathedral in London. He comes in, and the score matches that moment so well to keep the Mission Impossible hints of the Mission Impossible bass theme, but sort of lifts higher into almost kind of like a choir style. That was cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big reasons why it was so much better, though, is and I did a little research. I'm a nerd. This was one of the first Mission Impossible films that they actually switched composers. So Lorne Balfe, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was the composer rather than Joe Kramer, who had done pretty much all the other MI films. And but like a lot of critics were just talking about how it's the score was almost Christopher Nolan-esque.
Yeah.
Very Hans Zimmer-esque, if you will, using the percussion and snares and whatnot. But
no, it was. I've always believed, and I am a dead to rights audio nut, an audio nerd. I've always believed that a good score or great audio at the right time can push a film. And lift it in a way that you might not be able to do with just dialogue. And now in the same hand, it knows when to pull back, I think, pretty well. There's some moments, especially in a lot of the action sequences and some of the chases as well, where it's just silence. You don't have a score dominating everything, and it's not needed there. It's more than enough with what we're getting on screen, and I think they picked those moments pretty well.
Yeah, the guy, I mean, what I say his name was, let me double check. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Good job, Mr. Balfe.
So, there's so many things. I know it sounds as we talk about this, there's so many glowing things we talk about this as far as criticism, things we didn't like, things that might come across a little odd. I'll bring up mine first. One that kind of strikes me is especially near the end, and you've seen this on trailers as well. Ethan has to pilot a helicopter, and his team freaks out about this, and they're like, wait, you actually know how to do that? This is something you have? It's like, yeah, like I got it. But you realize and you see that he doesn't have all the ins and outs of piloting. He's no master pilot by any means. So that instantly, part of it would be believable, sort of if he was. You could say that was part of his training at some point, maybe. But they go through pain specifically to make note of he is no master
pilot.
Yeah,
and yet he's doing this crazy stuff.
Yeah. I sort of question. I say, why go to those lengths to make that a thing if he gets into some incredibly clutch situations, like emergency situations? I mean, flaming engines and all kinds of insane altitude loss, and nope, he's got it. I get it. Look, if you see a movie with Tom Cruise, he's the man. I don't care if it's Last Samurai. I don't care if it's MI. He's going to come out on top. Somehow we
all know that.
We know that. We know that established fact, but I just found that kind of odd. They made such a big deal out of that, and yet I'm like, no, you seem a lot better than some pilots that I've seen.
You seem to be doing okay. I guess he's all right.
Oh man.
I guess like one thing, it's not really a knock on the film, and I don't
Yeah.
really know how spoiler-esque this is like, it made me sad about Julia. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we don't see any part. It makes more sense since we didn't see any part of her last film, like her story.
Right.
But it was really sad because it was such a huge part of MI5.
Right.
She was such a big deal of the film, and
Right.
now and then she almost kind of became throwaway, and that kind of made me sad, I guess.
There's some bittersweet, elements to that. I agree. And I think that's been both the heads and tails of how we've gotten this closer look at Ethan, but then those in his orbit, and either because of the mission they're on, or what his actions have changed, or whatever else, or them being sort of cast aside. I'm right with you. She did take, I think, a little bit more of an accessory role here. So, but
I can't spoil it, so you have to watch and find out.
That'll be the fun part. It's funny talking about this. We were talking about this a little bit beforehand. There's so much. It's so easy to, I think, review this film in terms of spy movies and things like that. That there's just so few points to actually really blow out and spoil. In fact, look, just go check this out and see it. I guarantee any of the little, like the 5% we're not covering is going to be worth it when you go check it out. So.
100%, yeah. And honestly, like if there's really any bad things, you can almost like be like, well, it's a spy movie.
Yeah.
That's one beauty of doing a franchise like this. It's not like, I don't know. It's not like Gravity and this this chick or what, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a movie that you definitely would need to have skills for, and you can't just.
Yeah.
Armageddon.
There you go. There we go. No, man, makes sense. So look, hey, with all that in mind, out of 10 plutonium packs, what would you rate this film?
I'm extremely biased, and so if you didn't like biased reviews, you probably should not have listened to this one. I'm gonna go ahead and give it like 8.5. Honestly, maybe even 9.
Yeah.
Maybe 9. It's a good day.
Yeah. All right, there you have it. All right, you know what? I'm really in the same lines with this. If you listen to my Equalizer review, that was the one I felt was just a little bit scaled up above Death Wish. If you look back at Death Wish, I gave that one a 7. Equalizer scaled up. I'm gonna have to scale this one up again. I've been pleasantly surprised. I did not expect Equalizer 2 to have such a awesome competitor so quick. Although I should have known. I mean, it's a Mission Impossible movie. Hey man, I'm there too. This is this easily 8.5 was my early basing, but this is one that I'd go up to 9. I really enjoyed this.
And right now, Chris is probably like puking in a bucket or something.
No, he's not. Look, if Avengers is still the movie of this year to me so far. This does not unseat that, but as far as what you have out there with action films right now,
definitely top 5.
This is really solid. I don't think you will not be wasting a ticket going to check this one out. So
spend your money.
Yeah.
One quick before we wrap up, I just have a little fun tidbit about Tom Cruise actually. So he was in the movie Rain Man. I think that came out, was it the 90s?
Yeah.
Maybe a little earlier.
Yeah.
So they filmed the majority of that in Newport, Kentucky, which is actually where my grandparents both grew up. So the scene where he's in the rain or whatever on the street, that's actually like 3 blocks away from the house my grandpa grew up in.
No,
so that's
freaking
why
way.
That's why I've always kind of had like this thing for Tom Cruise. I'm like, this dude's cool because they filmed right down the street from where my grandpa grew up. So
I had no idea.
That's why I'm so biased. But so
crazy.
Yeah. It was I like when I saw that, I was like, I had to rewatch the film. I was like, oh my gosh, that is like, no way.
That's awesome, man.
So, fun fact about Isaac: do with what you will.
Yeah, I might dig into that and think you're a CIA agent or something on the side, but I'll leave that alone because I don't want to get pulled into that world. Never mind.
So it's a bad world, dude. Don't do it.
But all right, hey, that's gonna do it for us. Thank you all for tuning in. for this review. We appreciate that. Hey, be sure to stay right here. Tune in this channel if you want to check out some of our other reviews. Of course, as I've been talking about all review, we had Equalizer 2 not too far in the rearview mirror. A couple of other films we wrapped up recently. So you'll be able to catch all of that and more right here in this channel. But until next time, take it easy. You all have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a good night.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it'd be great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.